check 1 2. Check 1 2. Winning drive presented to you by Southern States Bank.
Carver gets the victory. Buckhead goes with Carver.
Give me the Gaston City Titans. Put the fan. Put the fan. Welcome to the winning drive presented by Southern States Bank. We are live here at Golden Eagle Stadium. I'm Chandler Tyree, Warren Mullins, Jake Pollard. Guys, y'all are used to calling the Oxford Yellow Jackets this year. A little bit different atmosphere today for you, but I'm glad y'all could join us on the winning drive.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, Chandler. Looking forward to it, man.
So looking at, obviously, we'll talk about this matchup first. In my opinion, two of the best quarterbacks in this area. You've got the Mims kid at Oxford. You got the Ogle kid at Jacksonville. Mims is getting Power 5 offers. I think that Ogle should be getting Power 5 offers. What do you think about this matchup tonight?
I think it's really a good test for both teams going into the playoffs. It's going to allow, with Jacksonville being in the southern region, the pass rush that Oxford can provide them and the coaches a look to be able to know and put in some protection packages for Ogle going forward to how aggressive the pass rush is in the southern region and how strong the run game is in the southern region. And so that's what I'm looking forward for Jacksonville. And for Oxford, hey, they need to see speed themselves. And Jacksonville's got tons of speed, especially in the secondary.
Because looking ahead, I feel like Oxford's going to be able to handle Athens in the first round of the playoffs. But that second round matchup, they're going to get the Parker Thundering Herd, who is very, very athletic. So you're exactly right. They need to see the speed. Jake, I'm going to ask you. He talked about the pass rush. Jacksonville has been explosive on offense all year. Have they seen a defensive line anchored by Keenan Britt like Oxford Yellow Jackets all year?
You know, Chandler, I'd say they haven't, just because, there's a big difference in 4A football and 6A football. I mean, the game's faster, the players are bigger. Warren and I, we've been calling these games now for 3 or 4 weeks with Oxford, and they have just it's like seeing a preview of Saturday football over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think it's going to be a great test for both schools. But at the end of the day, I think it's a better warm-up for Jacksonville than it will be for Oxford, just because they're gonna be playing against the best in the county, honestly.
Coach, I talked to Coach Clint Smith earlier before before we got set up, and he was talking about in the last 4 games they've played, his starters have not played in the second half. So because of the lopsided game, he needed this game. He needed this game to be a slug match, so he can get his guys used to playing 4 quarters. So I think that's a big deal for Coach. Both teams needed. I think Oxford's going to see a quarterback and receivers that will be close to what they're going to see in 6A. I'm taking nothing from the kid here, the quarterback Ogle here at Jacksonville. This kid to be a 3-star, they're crazy. He's a 4-star, at least a 4-star. And if Troy winds up with him, they got a steal deal. But I'll tell you this: Oxford's going to have their time tonight covering the 2 receivers, Sinclair and Fisher, and I mean, good matchup for both of them. But Coach was really excited about having Oxford in here because his kids need to see it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, this is something that Oxford needs also, because the prior 2 weeks, they've not seen that pocket passer. You know, they've seen a mobile Mbakwe with Clay Chalkville, and then the quarterback last week, he was another athletic quarterback that was, moving out of the pocket, trying to catch the corner. So this will be a great test as they progress through the playoffs. They're going to see more of those pocket passers, speedy receivers, and that'll be this will be a great little preview tonight for what they're going to see in the weeks to come.
You're exactly right, I think Oxford's defense is way underrated. I think they've been really good all year. They've got all these playmakers on offense, but their defense has been the defense that's been steady all year long, and they don't. But this is going to be a test for them, and like you said, it's going to be a good test going to the playoffs. But like you said, I think for Jacksonville, if they can come in and play well against the Oxford Yellow Jackets, it's going to springboard them into the 4A playoffs. Because you got to think about it. They would have already played Anniston, who's a pretty good ball team, Hanley, who's probably one of the better teams in Class 4A, and now a 6A Oxford. So you're not going to get to the playoffs and face much more better teams than what you've already faced.
That's right.
And so I think you're exactly right to that point. This is going to be a good springboard for them. We're going to come back and talk more about this game, but looking at some Thursday night action, you can see it at the bottom of the screen there. The Mumford Lions go to Asheville and defeat the Asheville Bulldogs in a game that was actually closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought that Mumford was going to run away with it. It was a 21-13 ball game. Asheville at halftime. Mumford scored. Obviously, they scored 3 touchdowns unanswered off on the back of the Tank. If you hadn't heard of him, Tank Edmondson for the Mumford Lions, one of the better players, went over 2,000 yards on the year last night on the ground. But I was at the White Plains game with Mumford, and he essentially said White Plains is not going to beat us. Him and B.J. Anderson kind of took over that ball game. But he ran for, I've seen one news outlet that said he ran for 375 yards last night and 5 touchdowns. I've seen another news outlet that said he ran for over 400 and 5 touchdowns. Either way, 375-plus yards last night for Tank Edmondson to be able to get the win for the Mumford Lions in a game that they needed to win.
Absolutely. And I got a chance to see Tank play this year. I got to call a game with Mumford coming to Lincoln. And Coach Easley, who's actually my brother-in-law, he was, he really is excited about this kid and what he can do. And he is a true running back, like you were saying, Chandler. He comes downhill at you, and he comes downhill fast and hard. He does.
I had talked to Coach Easley earlier in the year, and as coaches, we worry a lot more than what we should worry. And anytime you're not having a year that you expect to have, you kind of worry about job security a little bit. And the message that I kind of shared to him was, hey man, like, you got too much good things going on at home. Do not take your what's going on on the football field to your house.
Yes.
So that was kind of one of the messages that I wanted to share with him.
Oh yes. And that I know for him a lot this year was injuries at the quarterback position. They really kind of held Mumford back, and it's a tough region. It's a very tough region they play in.
Yeah, and you're right, and you don't ever want to talk about kids, but BJ didn't have the year that he wanted him to have. Injuries had a part to do with that. I think he took some growing pains. The good thing about it is that both Tank and BJ will be back. They bring back some guys. They're really good up front every year. Coach Blake Snyder does a good job up front for them. And so they'll come back. They'll be ready to go. It's just been a rough go this year.
Yeah, it has.
And that's to be expected.
You said it right, though. That was a must-win for Mumford. I'm a Mumford guy, so and like Coach Easley. So the thing is I didn't think that game was going to be nowhere near that close. Asheville has really had a down year. But listen, Asheville was probably playing the Super Bowl last night because that was their last game of the season. Montfort still had something to play for. They still got an opportunity. Yeah, well, no, they don't. I mean, because of the way it fell. But they were tied for that 4th spot in the playoffs. They're just not going to get in based on the wins of the other team. Yeah. But, it was a must-win, and to get it done, Tank did a really good job. I mean, Tank, I've seen Tank play. The kid is unbelievable. What he lacks in size, he gains it in heart and will. And because the kid is unbelievable to me. I mean, he's really a powerhouse in this area.
Going to our next game, looking at our next game for last night, let's see what comes up on the screen right here. The Fife Red Devils defeat the Sylvania Rams in a game that's not necessarily in our coverage area, but everybody knows about Fife. It was actually a 21-10 ball game. My bad on the score graphic right there. But Sylvania, very good team in Class 3A, but Fife flexes their muscles again. They always get that thing rolling when it gets time for playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and let me tell you, like you said, everyone has heard of Fife. I mean, I remember, 20 years ago when I was playing, Fife was always that tough, bring the blue-collar lunch pail, go-to-work mentality, and they just grind it out, and hats off to those guys.
Yeah, and like early in the year, they were struggling a little bit for Fife, but Benefield's kind of got that magic over there. He knows what to do. He knows who to move around, who to put in the right place. They've been able to do that. They look really, really good the past few weeks. So
one of the things that's crazy about Fife, we go down to the Super 7, every team wins. They're celebrating, their parents and family and the fans are going crazy. Fife just walks out, doesn't say a word, but we've been here, done that. I mean, they expect to do that every year. It was crazy to watch every other team celebrate. And I know Fife celebrated, but it just wasn't like going crazy like everybody else because they expect it every year. But I will say this about that game. Sylvania is the 3A region champion with all these teams from our area. I mean, Ohatchee and Piedmont.
Oaks Bluff.
And they not only won that region, they dominated that region. So for Fife to flex that muscle in 2A and show this 3A region what it's all about, I was surprised at that.
Well, you got to look at it. Like, they beat Geraldine a few weeks ago, and then they come back and beat Sylvania. Like, I mean, obviously, in this game, the reason it means something to us is because we know if they take care of business in the south or in the north, and BB Comer takes care of business in the south, you got a rematch from last year. And you talked about it. They're used to going to Super 7. Last year, BB Comer wasn't, but they kind of got that Bright Lights feel last year. So if them two match up again, will BB Comer be better prepared going into that to face a team like Fife? I don't know if you're ever prepared to face Fife because it's like you said, blue collar, take your lunch pail, get hit in the mouth for 4 quarters. And the question is, do you really want to get hit in the mouth for 4 quarters and keep hitting in the mouth? And that's the question against Fife every time you play them.
And like you're saying, they get stronger. As soon as the calendar goes to November, the Fife machine is running full speed too, and it's ready to run over you.
They're cruising through regular season, but when it gets time for playoffs, they turn that notch up, throw a couple more logs on the fire.
They do.
But I'll say this: you're talking about BB Comer getting there in the South. The problem is BB Comer's got Highland Home, and they've got Reeltown that they're going to have to run through to get there, and both of them teams are really good in the South.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We talked about it. Y'all talked about it on the show on Tuesday night a little bit, and I kind of sent in. And even Coach Marcus Herbert, who is an assistant coach at BB Comer, he talked about it. They definitely have a tough road to get there. You have to earn getting to a Super 7. So that's one of the things that we'll be looking for as we go along. Looking at the next score from last night.
Got my cue.
TCC, a 3-win season. Congratulations to Coach Garrett and the Tigers at TCC. They defeated Galesville last night 24-6. TCC, a team coming into the year that people questioned if they were going to win a game. Yeah. They had went so long without winning a game. Was able to win 3 games, so a big building blocks for TCC this year. A big win last night, and anytime you can finish out, believe me, I was at White Plains for 4 years, so anytime you can finish out your season with a win, you feel like that kind of springboards you into whether it does or not, I don't know, but I always told our kids we're going to work hard. The next season starts Monday. This is how we're going to start next year strong with tonight. And they were able to do that. And so when you look at Coach Garrett, he had the infamous quote of, hey, I know our kids like offense better. We hadn't tackled anybody in 4 years. And so obviously they've gotten a little bit better defensively, holding Galesville to 6 last night.
Well, you know, what's interesting about them is they come from such a tough region. And as you know, with some schools that just get placed in those tough regions, getting that winning mentality back in the school, the idea of that we're not just showing up for the football game hoping to win. We know we're going to win. And when you have you're in a real tough region and you just have a lot of turnover, then you can fall into that routine of, okay, we're not going to win this game. And for those kids to go out there and finish strong, and that's what you need. You need a class of individuals as a coach to come in and start setting that new standard.
No doubt about it. You're exactly right. Like, it's hard to change a culture. You got to be patient with it. Everything don't just come in like Kirby Smart at Georgia or Nick Saban at Alabama, even though a lot of people forget in Nick Saban's first year they got beat by a Louisiana Monroe team in 2007. But they went and played for a SEC championship in 2008 and won a national championship in 2009. It don't always happen that way.
You know, and it's not the coach in situations like that. When you're able to turn around a program, and that's why you see so many times great coaches will make a move and go to another program, and you're like, well, why aren't they winning like they were here? Well, they haven't got their mentality, their program going. And to get a program growing, it comes down to a group of kids, a class or two of kids that are going to buy into what that coach says. And once you get that one class or two classes to follow, start that workout routine, get your youth coaches using your terminology, and then all of a sudden you can get it rolling.
I think you said it perfect. It takes 2 classes
to
turn a program around. Mm-hmm. But you can coach them up all you want to, but until them kids buy in, it takes 2 classes to turn that program around.
No doubt about it.
And they have to buy in.
It's like Chandler said. I mean, it's a changing culture. So it's that mentality from those kids, those parents to buy in, to put in the extra effort in the weight room, to put in the extra effort at practice, to practice hard when you don't feel like practicing hard. And over time, work ethic always wins. I mean, I think you got to have the athletic ability, but, it's like my coach would tell me, Jeff Smith, when I was in high school. Look, we're going to outwork them. We're going to, like 5, hit them in the mouth quarter after quarter. We're going to condition harder than them. We're going to work out harder. We're going to practice harder. And over time, you just wear them down.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Speaking of that, like, you can see my hat. You know where my allegiance stands tonight. The White Plains Wildcats. I took some heat when I stepped down and resigned there, but I felt like they needed some new blood. They needed some new energy there. And Blake Jennings has been able to come in and do that. Speaking of turning around a program, for White Plains to be in Week 10, and obviously they got to have some things go their way, but for them to be able to be in Week 10 and have a chance at the playoffs, you start to see Blake Jennings come in and that culture, that Larry again tree of coaching kind of take over there. So congratulations to them and what he's been able to do in year 1. I think the future's bright. You can't talk about White Plains, though, without talking about Dylan Barksdale. He's going to be a tough loss for them, but they got some young guys that are really, really playing well. Speaking of young guys playing well, the Weaver Bearcats, Caden Gooden, the Allen kid at receiver, they go last night and take care of business at Pleasant Valley to close out their year, 46-0. Pleasant Valley still got playoffs, but a big springboard win for the Weaver Bearcats in year 1 under Ken Kofor. Talking about turning around a culture and a program. 4 wins, could have been 6 or 7 wins easily. They lost a couple of one-score ball games, so a great first year for Ken Kofor at Weaver.
Yeah, and I got to watch them play the very first week of the season against Donahoe. And I tell you, it was amazing. I'd read a lot about Ken Kofor and kind of that culture that he was implementing at Weaver as far as, hey, we make a mistake, we get a penalty. Don't be surprised if you see all of our guys drop down and do push-ups. And I witnessed that firsthand. I mean, and I think that's great because, again, when you have that kind of dedication and you see those players in the middle of a game drop down and do 20 push-ups, I mean, that lets you know that, hey, he's got their buy-in. Them boys will run through a brick wall for him. And again, with I think it's Keyshawn Allen and Caden Gooden, I know their parents, and they come from a history of athletes. So, I mean, they're really making their DNA proud.
We got Brian Owen over here. Brian Owens just walked by over here talking about changing stuff. He came in, first-year defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Golden Eagles, has done an outstanding job. We always talk about Jacksonville's offense, but this year they're playing some defense as well. So I'm excited to see that matchup as well. But you hit the nail right on. Like, Keyshawn Allen, great kid. Gooden, great kid. Like, I work at Weaver Elementary School. I also drive a bus now, trying to make a little extra money. But every day when I pull up to Weaver High School, when Gooden walks out of there, he's got that smile, and he just like,
Yeah.
so I got to get him on some point. But just an unbelievable player. Had a great night last night for the Weaver Bearcats. And we know his family, too. He actually has some Mumford in him. Ain't that right?
You know, I tell you, it takes Mumford to make all these programs around good. I mean, that's good.
I don't know about that.
But,
Well, you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's got an offer from Marshall, isn't it?
You're right.
Yeah,
He does.
yeah, absolutely.
And the other kid now is starting to get looked at.
Yeah, the other kid, I joke about it, and I know Bo Wynn pretty well, talk to him all the time. He actually drives the morning route for my afternoon route bus. And the other kid was a basketball guy, and all of a sudden he comes out for football. He has an unbelievable year. He'll be a guy that definitely starts getting some looks and some offers from colleges too. Allen,
Yeah.
we're talking about.
But
Yeah.
just talking about Coach Cofer. Coach Cofer, if you sit and listen to that guy, just listen to him talk for 20 minutes, you'll want to run through the wall. I mean, whatever he's preaching, you're buying. I mean, if he's selling ice, you buying it. It doesn't matter because that guy, he got them kids to buy in this year. And you can see, and like Coach said, it could have been another 2 or 3 games they could have won easily. To change that culture around the way he did in his first year, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, let me share. You're talking about some quotes. Lamont Mayer Jr., who is like the biggest supporter of Weaver athletics, school system, whatever. There's some quotes last night that he kind of shared on Facebook. I never want to embarrass kids. I'm not about that. We want to score a lot, but not to their embarrassment. We just want to be a good team and a good program. He also said, I love each and every one of y'all. And when I saw the decal, we are Weaver, we are family, I knew I was at the right school, and I was praying to nail the interview. We'll never apologize for getting on to your butts. That is why, because we want to be that program. And this one was the one he said really fired him up. I'm going to be tired tomorrow. Y'all will. The band will. Take the weekend because come Monday, season 2 begins. Let's go. He's a guy, he says, we are going to build a program. Not just a football team, but we're going to build a program that includes all sports, all clubs, band, everything involved. He wants to build the whole entire thing. And, like, being in that Weaver community, I can tell the difference.
You know, I went to a couple Weaver games this year, and one we went to the home game. They were playing Childersburg, and I'm going to tell you, it's been many years, and I don't know how long. I couldn't tell you how long because I hadn't been to a lot of Weaver games. But it's been many years they had that many people in the stands and that much excitement at a football game. I can promise you that at Weaver.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that we are about to go to a break, pay some bills. We want to thank Gary Mason and Mason's Barbecue for our meal today. I can't eat it because I'm gluten intolerant, but everybody else has bragged about it. Gary always does a good job. If you hadn't tried the catfish, try the catfish at Mason's Barbecue in Jacksonville. You can also catch him from time to time with his trailer. So thanks to Gary. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at more of last night's actions, the playoffs, and what teams have to happen in their favor tonight for them to get in the playoffs. We'll be right back on The Winning Drive presented by Southern States Bank.
I am a dreamer who will make a difference in this world.
I'm flying to a future of great promise and change.
I am a mentor committed to helping my students transform their lives.
I'm a hard worker striving to build a better Alabama.
I am a go-getter with ambition and drive.
I am a Gadsden State Cardinal.
Watch me.
Watch me.
Watch me fly.
the ASAP Prevenger is near. Drugs run in
It kicked me out of
fear.
the conference call.
Hey, are we ready to go? Yeah.
Oh, crap.
How much seconds we have?
It kicked me off.
Just go. Just go. Bring it back, because you're live right now. He's getting it, so we ain't ready to go.
Welcome back to welcome back to the Winning Drive, presented by Southern States Bank. We are back here. You see it there on the screen. The Leeds Green Wave defeats Centerpoint 22-0 last night. Another game where they kind of I thought Centerpoint would beat Leeds going into the game. Y'all watched Centerpoint Oxford last week, called that game. Did this game surprise y'all a little bit?
It did me, just because what the center point we saw last week against Oxford, they were big, they were athletic. I remember number 22, I can't remember his name, the linebacker that they ended up putting out at wideout. My gosh, that kid is huge.
No doubt about it.
And has speed, and they played a much better game last week against Oxford than apparently they played last night. So.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
But going on the road again for Centerpoint, I think was a little bit of a problem. Something we noticed, Jake, that these are ultimately still kids. Even Centerpoint's got some really talented players, but they're kids, and we saw them travel to Oxford. They might have brought 50 people to the game,
right?
And for young kids to go on the road 2 weeks in a row, and you're really not seeing that support from the community, from the fan base. You can see it happen, and last week kind of took the legs out from underneath them, and you're not having fans in the stands cheering you on as a young man. You could phone some stuff in.
And I'm not sure about Leeds' record this year, but I remember playing Leeds when I was in high school, and they were always a solid team, a tough atmosphere. I mean, so having 2 road games back to back, especially the Oxford crowd showed up and showed out last week.
Definitely.
That's just a tough schedule when you have back-to-back
Leeds
games.
had lost 2 games this year. They were in a battle for their region, though, for the first place. Them, Moody, we all know how good Moody is. Oxford played Moody a couple of years ago, and I mean, them, Moody, and Southside, yes, and we're all battling for the first spot. Matter of fact,
they're still battling. We'll get into that later on. Yeah.
So I mean, Leeds is not a pushover team. They're pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, Leeds is a really good team. Centerpoint's a good team too. Like Centerpoint is a team I feel like could go on and maybe have an upset in the first round of the playoffs. And so looking at that, I don't know. It just that shocked me last night. That tells me we talk about 4A South all the time, but 5A North is really good. You got Ramsey, Pleasant Grove, Leeds, Moody, Southside, Arab, Gunnersville, Scottsboro. Like you got some really good teams in that, and you can see here we're gonna let him get his mic on, but we're joined by the ultimate recruiting guy in the state, Dex Preps, Dexter Tolbert, and so Dex, how you doing, Dex?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
We're good. We're good. We've been talking about some games from last night. We're talking about the Leeds and Centerpoint game now, and just how surprising that game was.
Yeah.
For Leeds to kind of
they dominated them.
They dominated, no doubt about it. And so for them to do what they did last night was kind of surprising to me, and how they were able to do that.
Yeah.
My question though, and you get in this, Dex, is what does that speak? Does it speak volumes to Oxford's region and Centerpoint might not be as good as we thought they were, or is Leeds better than we thought they were? That's the question.
I think it's a combination of both. Because I watched Leeds when they played Lincoln. They looked okay, but not like world beaters. So, every now and then, some teams will play up the competition or down the competition. So it's just kind of hard to tell at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, and Centerpoint could have been resting some guys last night. You just never know with these Week 10 matchups that really don't mean a whole lot for some of these.
Yeah, because they want to come in healthy for the playoffs. So, some coaches are willing to take that loss, so they can perform better in the playoffs.
No doubt about it. Looking at going back and looking at some of the playoff you can see on the playoffs for Class 1A. In Class 1A, Region 1, Leroy is locked in there. Milry is locked in. Choctaw County locked in. Southern Choctaw is locked in there in Region 1. So they're kind of set. Elba is locked in Region 2. Georgiana's locked in as the number 2 seed. Fort Alla and Brantley play each other this week for the 3rd and 4th spot in Region 2. Hey, Buckethead, you can see the actual bracket. Can you go through the bracket for us?
I can. And 1A, starting.
Do you want to hold your mic so everybody can hear you?
I turn it on. Starting in 1A with the north part of the bracket from the south side, be Leroy at Calhoun, and then Georgiana at Keith, Locapoca at Southern Choctaw. Linden is still who they're playing is undecided.
Who do they match up against?
Region 2, number 3.
Yeah, so Fort Alla and Brantley play tonight to see who's going to play in that one. So they're the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed there?
Linden is the number 2 seed for Region 3. They're playing the number 3 seed.
Yeah, so whoever wins between Fort Alla and Brantley tonight will get Linden, and then the 4th seed will play another game. So.
Move to the south side of that bracket. You have Sweetwater, which is the number 1 seed out of Region 3, playing the number 4 seed out of Region 2, which is undetermined.
We determine that tonight.
Yeah. And then Maplesfield at Choctaw County. Elba will have University Charter, which University Charter is a new school that started last year, I think.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And then Millery play Notasulga, and that's the south part of the bracket. The north part of the bracket, they're speaking real loud, but it's not overcoming iron. You'll just be in your ear while I'm talking. Yeah. Lynn still plays Region 8, number 4. Who you have in Region 8, number 4, and why they haven't?
Region 8, number 4.
3 and 4.
All right,
and 2.
All right, so in Region 8, so Hackleburg is obviously locked in at the number 1 spot. Addison, Meek, and Shoals Christian. Now, y'all bear with me because we got a lot. All 3 of those teams are locked in the playoffs. But this is not it's not a 9-team region, but the games go until November 3rd for some of these region's teams. Hackleburg locked up the region title last week with a win over Avena. Shoals Christian and Addison play tonight. If Shoals was to beat Addison, it would be a 3-way tie. I don't see Shoals beating Addison, so we won't get into all that. I think the region standings will finish as this. Hackleburg, number 1, obviously. Addison will finish number 2. Meek, number 3. And Shoals Christian will finish the 4th seed.
So Lynn will face Shoals Christian based on what you're saying. Spring Garden has Coosa Christian, which is right here in our backyard. Last year, Spring Garden beat Coosa Christian in regular season. Coosa went up there and knocked out Spring Garden in the first round. This year, Coosa Christian beat Spring Garden in regular season. Can Spring Garden knock out Coosa Christian in the first round?
That's another region, Region 7, where everything's locked. But that whole region is interesting. Now, listen now. Coosa Christian was running away with it, beating everybody. Y'all know about Coosa Christian. Everybody's pounded on for beating the team 94-7. They beat Cedar Bluff. That's a tough region. They would have been the number 1 seed, got in trouble with the HSA, had to forfeit some games. But here's the thing about it. There's a tiebreaker there, but Cedar Bluff has a lead that can't be matched. So Cedar Bluff automatically gets that 4 seed now. So Decatur Heritage 1, Valley Head 2, Coosa Christian number 3, who should be the number 1, and Cedar Bluff. And so Spring Garden's got a different Coosa Christian team rolling in than what they faced last year.
Yeah. Well, even at the beginning of the season, because this Coosa Christian's coming in with a bad taste in their mouth, and they trying to get rid of it on every team they play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I hate to say this, but the decision by the AHSA might have been the best thing for Coosa Christian, because it would have been easy for them to kind of get lackadaisical in how they were approaching everything. But because of that decision, they feel like it's them against the world, and now they're trying to just beat everybody unmercifully. And they definitely have a team in Class 1A that can compete for a state championship.
Well, yeah, they've been. I've been riding this horse from the time they went brought Pell City and Hanley in up there to a little 1A school and brought them in for a jamboree. I've been riding this horse the whole time.
I know they want you to jump off of it though,
because that team looked as good as Pell City and Hanley both, and Pell City and Hanley we're in some
Hanley's
big games
really
this
good.
year.
Let's don't get carried away with Pell City.
Pell City has 6 one-possession games, and 2 Oxford guys here know that game, if Mims don't get 7 yards on 4th and 6, ball game over. Pell City wins the Oxford game.
Well, listen. We're talking about Class 1A. I know
Okay,
you love Coach Rush Probst and
Hackleburg.
We'll get to them.
Some
Well, actually,
smelling-
we're not going to get to them.
Well, some got smelling good behind me and got my mind.
But talking about that, go finish out talking about
Hackleburg is playing Marion County. Valley Head, Raglan. I think Raglan may surprise Valley Head in that. It's a 2 against a 3. Decatur Heritage.
Raglan is a very good 3 seed.
Yeah. Decatur Heritage, Winterboro. And then we talked about, you said in Region 8, number 2 would be who?
Region 8, number 2 is going to be Addison.
It'll be Addison. And so they play Pickens County. Wadley, Cedar Bluff. Cedar Bluff can get the basketballs out. South Lamar will play Region 8, number 3. And you said it was Meek?
That's going to be Meek.
Okay. So that's your 1A round there in 1A.
All right, so go into Class 2A now.
Let's go back to 1A before we go to 2A. And panel, we're not all big 1A because we don't have a lot of 1A teams here that we really follow. But who would you say has got a real good shot at winning in 1A?
I would say Leroy and Elba. I know they're going to probably cancel each other out.
That's the South. You're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
know.
South.
I know those two going to cancel each other out. I mean, Elba's loaded, Leroy's loaded. So I would say either Elba or Leroy is going to win the state
So they're
championship.
definitely going to face,
The top team.
I'm
in
going
the
to say either Wadley or Coosa Christian
Yeah,
in the championship game.
I think so.
It's always tough in 1 and 2A on the northern teams
Yeah.
because like you were saying
Yeah.
the southern teams in 1A and 2A they just have a size advantage for the classifications that they're in.
Well, it's that Highway 43 battleground. I mean, Sweetwater, Linden, Leroy. I mean, year in,
People
year.
that you hear about every year.
Yeah, and so I have a little bit of experience from that area down there. I used to work at the hospital in Demopolis, Whitfield Regional Hospital, and Demopolis, they got a new coach this year, and so they're kind of trying to rebuild a program. But Sweetwater and Linden, that's like University of Alabama football in that area down
No
there,
doubt about
and
it.
all the way through Thomasville and those schools down there. I mean, that's a tough region to play in week in and week out.
Oh, you're exactly right.
And see, we had talked about too in the South region, just like 4A, everybody's so good, so they're going to beat each other up, get into the state championship. By the time that happens, I think some of the teams in the North may have a better chance because some of those teams in the South are going to be like sore and the injuries and stuff. So I think the South will win that state championship, but I think it's going to be a little harder than people think.
So you think Elba can beat Leroy?
I do. They got a running back down there, Alvin Henderson.
Now-
81 offers.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year Leroy won it and
Yeah.
they beat Elba in the semis last year, correct?
I mean, Elba's loaded, man. They kind of like Coosa Christian. They got a big old offensive line. They got a linebacker that's 6'2", 230 that can play sideline to sideline. 6'2", 6'3" DBs. So I really think they can challenge
yeah,
Leroy
we've
this
seen
year.
the linebacker. He was one of Dex's dudes,
Yeah.
and so he can really play.
Yeah, and so I think they can challenge Leroy in the South.
No doubt about it.
Wow.
So moving to 2A, we'll start with the top part of the South bracket again. You got Clark County playing Vincent. I think we put some expectations on Vincent this year that I don't think they lived up to that we had on them. But they're the number 4 seed, made the playoffs. GW Long and Goshen, BB Comer, Washington County. We've talked about BB Comer already, but second round, they're going to have their hands full. They have Highland Home at Arlington, and I think Highland Home is as good as anybody in 2A.
Yeah.
Right below that, which will be in the bottom part of the South bracket, will be Reeltown at Wicksburg. I think Reeltown's really good. Thorsby, we haven't talked. We let them slide all year, but they played BB Comer better than anybody else did. And they have Chickasaw. Cottonwood plays Laverne, and St. Luke's plays Isabella. In the North top bracket, Tuscaloosa Academy plays Red Bay. Southeastern plays Collinsville. Good year for Collinsville. I'm not going to say Tanner got me, but he didn't like the way I said they played good in
time
the
out.
loss.
Now that you're talking about that, Coach Tanner Nelson, who's with Collinsville, on their Tuesday night show, all right, he called me and he said, He said, was Scotty drinking on air? I said, no, he quit. He don't do that no more. He said, well, here's why I asked. He said Collinsville was, he said that Collinsville had maroon in their colors, which they don't. They're red. He also said,
say that. The King did.
He also said that they played well in both of their losses, which they didn't. They got school drugged by Fife and.
Well, they
Pisgah.
played well against Fife. I mean,
no, they didn't play good against Fife. They didn't
maybe-
play good against nobody.
Maybe he meant they accepted their skull dragging well. Or they looked good while they did it.
Look,
I don't know.
That's why.
He liked the uniform.
who plays Fife well?
Look,
I mean, you got to take your wins when you can
what
get
you're
them.
talking about. Just don't talk.
That's right.
Like, don't act like you're know everything when you don't. Just let somebody else.
That's
say
why I
something
stay quiet. I'm the quiet
Me
guy.
too. That's why I just look at what I got on my computer and let y'all talk about the stuff that I don't want to talk about.
Then you move on down the bracket. You got Tanner at Lamar County. Pisgah played Fife well. I will say that. And
I listen. I don't want to butt in on you, but there's a 5-team race in Class 2A. There's no sense in us looking at this whole entire bracket.
Yeah.
Pisgah, Fife.
Yeah.
Highland Home, Reeltown, or BB Comer. If anybody else wins it other than those 5, I will be shocked.
Me too.
I don't see.
hold on, you
5
forgot
winners.
about one.
Who?
Pleasant Valley. They started out 4-0 and forgot they had the rest of the season played.
Listen, Eric can't give you a raise for saying that. All right.
Yep.
Go into Class 3A.
Class 3A, Mobile Christian plays Beulah. And we've seen a lot of these teams play, they play a lot of them in our area. Houston Academy plays Alabama Christian. Walter Welborn plays Flomation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Walter Welborn plays Flomation.
Flomaton.
Flomaton.
Oh, Flomaton, my bad.
He sounds like me.
I couldn't. Glasses. Hey, I'm old. Trinity, Providence Christian. St. James will play the number 4 team in Region 2. That's still up for grabs.
Okay, I can tell you, I was just looking at Region 2. So, Strawn is locked in at number 1. They're 8-0. Houston Academy, number 2. Providence Christian, number 3. And then Pike County and Opp. All right, so Opp has the head-to-head with Pike County. This is a 9-team region, so it will take a little bit longer. We'll find out tonight. If Opp beats Ashford, which they should, and Houston Academy beats Pike County, then the 4th spot would switch over to Opp. And so I think Opp will end up being, I'm not a fortune teller, but looking at those 2 matchups, I think Opp's going to end up being.
Did you say Opp had the head-to-head? So if both of them win, still the head-to-head should be Opp should still win.
Because Opp is 3-4, so Pike County would be 5-3, and Opp would still be 4-4. So it's going to take a win from Opp and a loss from.
Well, here's what I'm going to say: to either one of them teams, they play St. James, they can forget about it. St. James will win the game anyhow.
But it's something to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, congratulations to one of them making it to the first round.
Yeah, so
that's what I was going to say.
You got to get in the playoffs, so we don't need you to be Debbie Downer.
Randolph, well, I just tell the truth. Randolph County, W.S. Neal, Strong, Southside Selma, Thomasville, we talked about earlier. Yeah. Always tough. Drop it down to 3A now. Should make some noise in 3A. They played Dadeville, which is not going to be an easy out for them. And moving to the north, you have Gordo, which plays Region 8, number 4, and that's still up for the grabs.
Tell me that again.
Region 8, number 4, still up for grabs?
Yes, that is. So in that region, Lauderdale County is your number 1. Mars Hill is your number 2. Colbert County is your number 3. Phil Campbell has a medium chance to make it at 2-4, and then Clements. There is a 3-way tie between Clements, Elkmont, and Phil Campbell. The tiebreakers would look like this. Phil Campbell has 8 wins in their non-region. Clements has 7, and Elkmont has 3. So I think Elkmont's out. Holly Pond. Phil Campbell is going to win this one. Elkmont can't win, so it depends on what happens with Clements and Phil Campbell.
Well, one thing with this bracket I can see is wrong right now, and I didn't do the bracket, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you know. But it's got Ohatchee on there. Ohatchee is not in the playoffs. Hoax Bluff will be the number.
Hoax Bluff will be the 4 seed. Piedmont will be the 3 seed. So Piedmont, listen now, Piedmont went into last week, and they were on the outside looking in. But with the Ohatchee loss and their win against Hoax Bluff, they got the tiebreaker against Hoax Bluff. That puts them in the 3 seed, and Hoax Bluff is the 4 seed. So Piedmont, winning culture takes over. It's been a tough go for Jonathan Miller so far, but winning culture kind of took over.
But I also want to say Piedmont penalties hurt smaller schools bigger than they do bigger schools. Penalties killed Ohatchee this year. Losing
Injuries, you mean?
I mean injuries. I'm sorry. Injuries. Losing the Bagwell kid. I mean the Boswell kid. That killed Ohatchee. He was.
You're exactly right. I mean,
it
had nothing to do with coaching or effort or anything like that. Injuries hurt, but Piedmont has gotten progressively better as
they have. But we'll go down just like you said earlier. On the north side, there's 3 dogs in the fight, and maybe only 2, Sylvania and Mars Hill. And you go past them. Mars Hill took on 6A and 7A schools this year and beat them.
Yeah, but Mars Hill got beat by Lauderdale County.
I know by Lauderdale County. So you take Lauderdale. That's why I said 3. Lauderdale County.
Said 3.
I said 3, maybe 2.
And Fife beat Sylvania last night.
So
we
talked about that before you got there. Fife's kind of flexing their muscle right now going into Class 2A, defeating 2 of the better teams in Class 3A.
And wait till we get to 4A.
On the north side, you got Sylvania, Mars Hill, and Lauderdale County. That's all I'm going to give chances in the north making it. So we can move on to the next bracket. 4A is a battle in the south and the north. The north is a lot easier path to get to Tuscaloosa than the south is. I mean, I'd love to be in Cherokee County's shoes much rather than I would be Jacksonville's, Hanley's. Jackson's sitting at the top of the bracket. They're playing the number 4s, which is going to be determined tonight, which is either going to be White Plains or Cleveland County.
Yeah, let me tell you about that. It's kind of simple, but not simple. There's a 3-way tie. Mumford can't win the tiebreaker.
Mumford can't win.
So here's what has to happen tonight. White Plains has got to defeat they've got to beat Westbrook Christian. That would give them 4 wins in non-region. That would give them their opponents 4 wins in non-region. Cleveland County already has 4 wins, and Northside plays Sipsey Valley tonight. And then Cleveland, and so Northside already has 4. They could get 5 if they beat Sipsey Valley, which is going to be a tough test. And then Cleveland County could win it outright. They hold everything in their hands. If they go beat Walter Weber tonight, ball game over, they're in.
That's a tough task, though. I mean, that's a tough task just to go beat Walter Weber.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later. That's actually one of our pick-ems, so I don't want to get into that too much. But it's going to be Cleveland County or White Plains, so we'll see who gets into that last.
So you got Jackson sitting. Here's the funny thing: you got them they're not filled because we don't know who they are. But you've got Jackson sitting at Region 1, number 1, and then there's blank below it. Don't matter who goes there, it's going to be bad for them.
Jackson's one of the better teams in Class 4.
And then you go to Region 2, number 2, which is Andalusia.
Andalusia got beat by Montgomery. I know you've been away for a couple of weeks, but they got beat by Montgomery Catholic.
So I knew this. Even though I was gone, I knew this. But they're number 2. I'm just going down through here. And they got a blank below them. So Region 3, number 3 team still up for grabs?
Region 2?
3.
Region 3, let me look at that. All right, so Sipsey Valley and West Blockton, we talked about that already, and Montevallo. They're going to non-region tiebreakers for 3rd. Sipsey Valley has 5 right now. They got Oak Grove, and Oak Grove still has 1 more game remaining, and Northside tonight. So if they beat Northside, it looks like Sipsey Valley would be there. West Blockton has Shelby County that they've beat, Brookwood that they beat, and they're off tonight. Montevallo has Shelby County, Jemison, and then they play Tarrant tonight. So Sipsey Valley is currently in the lead. Head-to-head for this tiebreaker is Montevallo beat Sipsey Valley beat West Blockton, West Blockton beat Montevallo. And so depending on who wins the non-region tiebreaker is going to be depending on who gets the 4th spot.
Well, I can tell you this, the White Plains Wildcats are pulling for Sipsey Valley tonight.
Yes, they are. But Sipsey Valley needs this win to make sure that they get into the playoffs.
They are pulling for Sipsey Valley tonight because they need Sipsey Valley to beat Northside.
No doubt about it. So there's a lot of games that kind of interlock and that we need to see the scores of before we go tonight.
So that's blank. Then you go to the next bracket. It's got Hanley on it for Region 4, number 1, and Region 1, number 4 is undetermined, but it doesn't matter. Again, I'm going – you 3 teams, I just said it doesn't matter who their opponents are. They're going to the 2nd round.
All right, so in that, there's a 3-way tie there as well. St. Michael, there's a 3-way tie. They're all in. They're locked in the playoffs, but they got a tie for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th there. So St. Michael has 5 non-region wins with Chickasaw. So Chickasaw has 1 more remaining, so they got 5 total. T.R. Miller has 3, and they got W.S. Neal tonight with with 6 games. And so if they can beat WS Neal, which we know is always a tough thing to do, they can be. And then Bayside Academy has Alberta and Alabama Christian. So I think it could end up being the way it's listed: T.R. Miller, Bayside, and St. Michael.
St. Michael's, talking to Coach Clint Smith earlier, St. Michael's and him are a better matchup, he thinks, due to the fact that they got 2 quarterbacks that can sling it everywhere.
Yeah.
It would be a game where they both seen what the offense is going to do because they practice against it every day. And so he said that would be a great game if St. Michael's was to wind up finishing 3rd in that region.
No doubt about it.
But they're going to probably finish 4th, like you said. But you got American Christian at the top of the next one playing BT Washington, Bibb County playing Montgomery Academy, Jacksonville. You just talked about who they'll be playing, the number 3 seed out of Region 1. And then Montgomery Catholic has the Region 3, number 4. We talked about that with Andalusia. That's how that's going to play. And Region 1, number 2, still don't know who Anniston would have to play in the playoffs.
No doubt about it.
So you move to the other side. Region 5, number 1 is still open.
Yeah, and we need to go to a break. I'm hearing my ear, so when we come back, we will look more a little bit more 4A and that. So we'll go to break. We'll be right back on the Winning Drive presented by Southern States Bank.
At Southern States Bank, we pride ourselves on being your local bank. We're your neighbors and involved in the community. We're the bank featuring the Southern Rewards checking account, a cashback account with no ATM fees. We're on the cutting edge and always have a smiling face to help you out. Stop being just another number at the big bank and start being a neighbor at Southern States Bank. Let us be the bank for you and your business.
The Coosa Valley, on the banks of the Coosa River in Gadsden, Alabama. Fishing, boating, and paddling, and home to Team One Chevrolet. Team One Chevy has been serving generations for years. Even the grandkids are grown. Come by and see why so many people come back to Team One Chevy in Gadsden.
Home of the best people, the best service, period.
There's a special place where overtime gives way to family time, where fast pace becomes a little slower lifestyle. At Campers Unlimited, we can help get you there, where your lake house, beach house, or tailgate headquarters can have the same address. We carry the top brands in America like Grand Design and Forest River. With a large selection, we're sure to have a floor plan that fits your needs. So when you're ready to disconnect in order to reconnect, take the easy drive to Campers Unlimited on Interstate 59 in Gadsden or shop us online at campersunlimited.net.
Serving Calhoun County in the state of Alabama since 1994, offering some of the most competitive interest rates in the mortgage industry, along with a wide variety of mortgage products. We are with you throughout the home buying process, offering you service before and after the close. Fast, reliable, local. Visit us today or apply online at our website, jacksonmortgageco.com.
And you remember, if you need a home loan, call my dad.
You're the official recruiter.
Welcome back to the Winning Drive presented by Southern States Bank. You saw it there. Mason Mims, the stud quarterback for the Jacksonville Golden Eagles. We talked a little bit about this matchup before y'all got here, but we talked about, and you were here when we talked about it, but Dex, Oxford's defensive front versus Jacksonville's offensive line. Can they hold up and give Mason Mims and those weapons that Jacksonville has time to do stuff tonight?
Talking about Jim Ogle, quarterback for Jacksonville.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be a key matchup for me. I just don't know if they're experienced enough to handle like a Keenan Britt or the tenor. What's his name? Caleb Tenor.
Caleb Tenor.
Yeah, I think he's really good.
So Giant Fleming coming on, the freshman.
And also Donovan Jones at
good.
the opposite defensive end from Keenan Britt's been playing very well.
Yes. And also I think a key matchup is going to be Jacksonville receivers against Oxford secondary, because Oxford secondary isn't. They're not bad, but I think that receivers from Jacksonville can kind of expose them a little bit.
If you had to pick a weak link of Oxford's defense, it would probably be their secondary. They're really good up front. Linebackers have been playing very well. and that was something that we talked about earlier. That test that they're going to get tonight is going to help them going into the playoffs.
It is, so. Because, Sinclair and Fisher, they're legit, and they're going to test them big time
they're
tonight.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you try to bracket one, the other one can hurt you. So it's really tough to do that. And when you bracket, you kind of open it up. And English in the run game has been very well. I mean, we talk about this passing attack for the Jacksonville Golden Eagles, but their run game has been very good. And Jim Ogle can hurt you with his feet. He's not going to be the guy from Center Point. He's not going to be the gross kid from Pell City. He's not going to obviously be Mbakwe from Clay Chalkville. But he can hurt you when his feet when things break down.
Yeah, he can, and he's great at rolling out too. So that's what's going to hurt Oxford, in my opinion.
Guys, I got to be honest though. I mean, I've not seen the Ogle kid play and his speed, but I have seen firsthand, and Warren, you can vouch for this, the closing speed on those inside linebackers for Oxford with James Tapley and Hudson Gilman. I've nicknamed them the Smash Brothers. I mean, they're fast. They can close in on a quarterback quick. They wrap up. I mean, so like I said, I know it'll be a test for them, but I'm really looking forward to see how those inside linebackers react to Ogle's speed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that you're exactly right there. And those linebackers, for me, were kind of a question mark coming into the year. Like, if you go back and watch our preseason matchup with Fort Payne, that was something I talked about before the game. Can these linebackers, new guys stepping in, how will they be able to play? And both guys have played really well this year.
They have. Being there at the Clay Chalkville game, Mbakwe and the Clay Chalkville team, they had all they wanted. Their hands were full from a defensive standpoint. Warren and I talked about that. We're really 2 plays away from that going into overtime as a tie 14-14 ball game. And I put that on the shoulders of great defensive play. Oxford struggled a little bit offensively, and not really a struggle. It was just a lot of mental errors, like forgetting that, hey, this is a backward pass. We better cover the ball. I mean, that was a huge one. And then once they got the block punt deep in Oxford territory, Clay Chalkville went for it on the very next play, and that was successful. So there's the two touchdowns that was handed to them on a platter.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're exactly right there. I mean, defensively, they played really, really well. Thank goodness that James Tapley didn't get his speed from offensive line coach, his dad, Jeremy Tapley. We're very thankful for that. And so looking back, let's kind of go through Class 4A really quick and go through the rest of these brackets pretty quick if we can.
We moved to the north. I feel like in the north, the only team, I don't know of many teams, West Morgan may be one of them that can compete with Cherokee County. I just don't see a lot of teams in the north that compete with Cherokee.
Here's the thing. Fluff Bothwell of Aniana, in my opinion, he's a one-man team. He is one of the better running backs in the state, in my opinion. I think South Alabama.
Yeah, he's committed to South Alabama.
He's a guy that is very tough all the time to take down. West Morgan is a team that's playing very well. Deshler's a team that's used to being there. But in my opinion, and we're going to see Cherokee County, they're going to get tested tonight against a Fort Payne team that I said looked lackluster against Oxford to start the year. It's gotten better and better offensively. One of the better 6A offensive teams in the state. Get to play against Cherokee County tonight. Can they stop Cherokee County's offense and in Cherokee County's defense? And if you're going to stop Cherokee County's offense, there's one name you got to know about, and that is Jacob Cornejo, the running back for the Cherokee County Warriors. And so he's a guy that I think can put his team on his back and take them back to another state championship.
Yeah, he does. So with Fort Payne, they have a good quarterback, so it's going to be a challenge for Cherokee County's secondary and defense to keep him in check.
No doubt about it. And I think that's kind of the question mark for me with Cherokee County is how good are they in their secondary, because they really haven't been tested by a team that could really throw it all year long.
Yeah, I agree.
And so moving to Class 5A, when you think about Class 5A, we talk about 4A South and how good it is. When you talk about Class 5A, you have to talk about 5A North. We talked about Leeds beating Center Point last night convincingly. We know Southside's been playing very well. Gunnersville beat Southside. We know Ramsey's really good. We know Pleasant Grove and Coach Darrell LeBeau are really good. We know that Moody is a up-and-coming program. Arab, don't ever count out Arab because Coach Lee Osment's going to have those guys playing extremely hard. Scottsboro, 5A North is loaded.
Here's what I'm going to say about 5A. Personally, it's just my opinion. Gulf Shores, if they don't get kicked out of bracket.
I think they're good. I heard today. I sent you a message. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I think they're going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way to prove that the school did anything wrong.
Yeah.
And also, the guy, and I think the guy that was at the bottom of all of it, I think he would be willing to fall on the sword for everybody.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about it. He's a businessman. He rented out those buildings and he rented them out to people, and that's going to be the bottom line. Like Stone Cold used to say, that's the bottom line because I said so.
Yeah.
That's going to be the bottom line, and that's how they're going to stick with it. And I don't think there's any proof there that.
I mean, here's the thing. He's a business guy. If you got 4 trailers, I can rent 4 of them. Tell you, hey, coach, I'm gonna rent these trailers. You say, I don't care what you rent them for. This is what you got to pay me to rent them.
Yes.
And so that's what he did. And so as long as he does that, to me, I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. Now, them and Clay County Central, or Central Clay County,
That's gonna be a
is
good
our
match.
south
Yeah.
competitors. And then you can flip over to the north, and you can put Ramsey, and you can put Pleasant Grove in it. And that's who I feel really good about North.
I did, but Leeds feels like they're getting things rolling, and they took Ramsey to the brink last year. We know Pleasant Grove is good. Now, Pleasant Grove got beat like 48-14 or 17 earlier in an early season matchup against Ramsey, but that's completely different now with a Coach LeBeau team that's game plan for the playoffs. Southside's playing really well. Southside, though, could get tested next week. Because
I like Southside. I just don't think they have the horses to run with these guys.
The thing about Southside is their secondary is going to be their question mark. They're going to get tested real early against a Boaz team who's been throwing the ball around the field all year long. And so I think 5A, though, it's a race. South is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I think North is going to be tough. South is going to be a 2-team race, I think. Yeah. And I can't wait to see those 2 teams match up again.
And I think Moody's going to be pretty good because they had a lot of injuries early. So they got Amon Lane, he's committed to Auburn. He's coming back for the playoffs. They got a kid that's committed to Coastal Carolina that's coming back. So I think, early in the year they were kind of down a little bit because those 2 guys were like key players on their team. So they're back now. So I think they got to make some noise.
Moving to 6A, I mean, the North has got a good shot. I got a lot of teams that's going to play to get there. The South has Saraland. I don't have to say no more. They're the best team in high school football in the state of Alabama.
Okay, the South has Saraland, but there's a matchup that I know Jake has already talked to me about in break that he wants to see. So Oxford has Athens, and then they probably have the Parker Thundering Herd, which is going to be a tough matchup for. But if everything goes as planned, Oxford could meet back up with Hartselle, I think, in the quarterfinals, and it could be at Oxford.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about that matchup that you're excited about seeing.
Well, I mean, I'm excited because I don't know if any of the viewers was able to watch the Oxford-Hartselle game. It was about a month ago in Hartselle. It was a big game from the score last year where it just kind of got out of hand. So Oxford was coming in, feeling high and dominated the game. I know they lost the game 22-21, but it was lost in the last 2 minutes of it. I mean, we started the fourth quarter up 21-7, and it was just I really felt like it was just a finishing issue more so than anything. And then not to mention, I hate saying this because you couldn't melt the job down and pour it on me, but I felt like there was some what I call home cooking with the refs. I mean, there was some questionable calls there at the end, and I don't like giving those guys grief because, again, that's a job that you're never liked by anybody. You're liked 1 second and despised the next. But there was some questionable calls, and I think that bringing Hartselle to Oxford in the third round of the playoffs, you're going to see that Oxford community show out tenfold, and it's going to be an electric atmosphere.
A revenge type game for them.
Absolutely.
Being an Oxford guy, I've called out their fans. Like, I want to see them show up and show out. Like, that place should be packed. It should be standing room only. I don't care about the visitor side, but it should be that should be something to where Oxford shows out and create a home field advantage if we get to that point.
That's right.
But don't wait till that quarterfinals. Show up in round 1 against Athens and make that home field advantage what it's meant to be.
And they have been. We've seen great response from that call.
The prior 2 weeks has been really good with the Oxford community showing up for these guys. And I just feel like, I'm telling you, if it comes down to Oxford-Hartselle in the third round, everybody in East Alabama needs to come see that game because the way that game ended and then the attitude that the Hartselle players showed towards the Oxford fans and Oxford players, I mean, it's going to be a chippy game, and it's going to be an intense game.
Yeah, so obviously you just said it, like discipline is going to be something going into that game. It's always the guy that responds that gets caught. So don't be the guy that responds. Don't do anything that's going to hurt your team if we get to that point.
Yeah, Oxford's been playing clean football too, so they have. But, you know, I think we're all looking forward to the possible matchup in 6A, Clay Chalkville versus Saraland. If it can happen, I mean, I think the whole state wins at that point.
You can't say that.
Yeah, I know, but as a football fan, that's what everybody's wanting to see.
No doubt about it. Everybody, I mean, in Mbakwe, Saraland's got the best quarterback in the whole entire state. Yeah. And so everybody's looking forward to that matchup. As a football fan, you are correct. But if Oxford messes up that and crashes that party, I would be perfectly
awesome.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and full disclosure, I wasn't that impressed with Clay Chalkville. I mean, they're a good football team, and they're loaded with D1 athletes. I mean, I think it's right offensive tackle that's committed to Oregon.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, he is a mountain.
6'9", like 370.
Yeah, mountain of a man.
He can move
and has good feet. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was expecting, and I think a lot of people, you know, they showed up and showed out for the Oxford team, but Oxford played them, like I said, 2 plays from it being a tie ball game. So I'm not as high on Clay Chalkville as I was after they beat Thompson.
Well, the one thing with Oxford is watching them, there's some games where I'm like, man, like, we can't get it going. We can't get started.
Yeah.
But their defense has shown up every game this year.
A young defense.
Yeah, and so they continue to keep themselves in ball games. You said it, they're not going to beat themselves. Yeah. And so, like, that is something that I'm excited about seeing is can Oxford make enough plays in Class 6A playoffs to get them to the next level.
Exactly. Learn to make those steps with that young defense.
No doubt about it. Yeah. Looking at Class 7A, there's some big implications on some games tonight in Class 7A as well. And then we'll look at some of the matchups that I'm looking forward to, and we'll get a chance to talk about them before we make our picks. But in Class 7A, in Region 1, they're all locked up. Mary Montgomery, unbelievable year, Cinderella story. They're number 1 in Region 1. Baker's number 2. Daphne's number 3. Davidson's number 4. And then in Region 2, that's where it gets interesting. I think Central Phoenix City is one of the better teams in the whole entire state.
Yeah,
They've locked up Region 2. But behind them, Auburn, Dothan, and Enterprise are in a 3-way tie for second. And, you know, that it's a mess. Like, it could be a thing. I don't know what's going to happen there, to be honest with y'all. Looking at it, there's a whole bunch of different it's like a calculus assignment to try to figure out what's going to happen there. But here's the thing. Whoever from Region 2 matches up with Region 1, that's going to be a tough matchup either way for Region 1. Yeah. I think Region 2 is loaded. And then when you go to the north, it's always the same. Region 3 is always loaded. You got Thompson, Hewitt-Trussville, Vestavia, and Hoover got in as the 4 seed. You don't hear that very much. They slipped into the playoffs. But they match up with James Clemens, Austin, Bob Jones, and Florence. So that's going to be a tough matchup. Like, James Clemens gets a really tough matchup having to face Hoover in round 1. But you win the region, you get Hoover Bucks, who perennial. We know everybody in the state from two-a-days and all that stuff. If you don't know about two-a-days, then you're way too young because I'm young and I know about two-a-days because it happened when I was in school. And so a team that's been on MTV, a team that had polarizing coaches, a team that's won a lot of state championships, they slip in, but they can be dangerous in that Class 7A playoffs.
I think James Clemens, I mean, they're loaded. Like I said, we're not going to pick it right now, but they got a lot of D1 prospects on their team that's going SEC probably. So people don't realize that. So the defense is really good. Offense is okay, but the defense is going to be there, just going to carry them if they win.
No doubt about it. But I think in that, everybody, Thompson is a team to be reckoned with in the north, Central Phoenix City in the south. And to be honest with y'all, this year, I think Central Phoenix City just has too much for Thompson.
I do. Yeah, because, Thompson's good, but they not the Thompson of old. I mean, they got the kid transferred in. He's going to help a little bit. But I think overall, this is probably one of the weaker Thompson teams that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right on that. Moving forward, some matchups that I'm looking forward to tonight, and I want to talk with y'all a little bit about. And we won't actually pick these because some of them are going to be our pick'ems.
All right.
But looking at these matchups, Winterboro and Childersburg. Winterboro, really good 1A school. Childersburg, a team that almost slipped into the playoffs. So looking at that, that's going to be a tough match. That's going to be a pick 'em. But Winterboro has athletes to stay up and compete with Childersburg tonight, I think.
Yeah, they do. They got a kid, last name Clegg, I think, like 6'4", 6'5".
They moved him to receiver. I didn't realize that. Moved some guys around. They've been really playing really well since they made that adjustment.
Yeah.
Another game, Victory Christian versus Coosa Christian. We talked about how Victory got eliminated last week. We talked about how Coosa Christian kind of is a team that has been playing really relentless. Do they stump the brakes early tonight on Victory, or do they try to beat Victory like they've been beating everybody else?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be personal. Last time the coach said it was personal. So if it's not personal, I don't think they'll beat them too bad. Maybe.
Let me say this: it depends on if Victory is part of that turn-in crew.
That's what I'm
that
saying.
Turn-in crew,
If
the crew that turned them in is getting beat down pretty bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Victory wasn't on that list.
So if it's not personal, maybe 40 to nothing, 50 to nothing.
Right.
Cedar Bluff and Donahoe.
Cedar
Bluff is probably better than
They
Donahoe. Can Donahoe pull a rabbit's foot out, or is Donahoe going to finish the year winless?
Winless.
Winless.
I think so too. I think Cedar Bluff's just too good for Donahoe. We got. Hey, I think Shasta's got an interview. Okay, we're holding on. We're going to go to Shasta in just a second. She's got the cheerleaders from Jacksonville, so we're going to go there. But looking at going forward, West End and Glencoe, that could be a pretty good matchup.
Yeah.
Glencoe in a much need to win to kind of kickstart their year next year. Coach Scott Martin, who is at Ohatchee, Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, been to a couple of different places in the state, absolutely turned around Ohatchee. He needs a win there at Glencoe.
Yeah.
I think he gets it.
All right, we're going to send it to Shasta with the Jacksonville cheerleaders. It went dead. All right, coming back.
Parents and families that are participating in senior night activities should report to the
All right, coming back to
participating in senior night activities should report to the main concourse located on the west side of the stadium. The following are public service announcements from the Alabama High School Athletic Association. The AHSAA reminds fans that we all play a role when enjoying high school sports.
All right, okay, coming back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We got W.S. Neal and T.R. Miller, which has got playoff implications. Can W.S. Neal beat T.R. Miller, or is T.R. Miller going to be too tough?
I think T.R. Miller's going to be too tough.
I agree with you. Come back to us, and then we're going to just talk.
While you enjoy this outstanding event, please give all student athletes your confidence.
All right, so back at us. We are back on us, looking at some matchups that we're going to do in pick'ems later. Just to give y'all a heads up on what we've got coming up in the show. Our pick'em games for tonight is Childersburg and Winterboro, Cleveland County and Walter Welborn, Fort Payne, Cherokee County, Oxford and Jacksonville, obviously, Pell City and Springville, Southside, Etowah, Sylacauga, and Piedmont, which I think will be a better matchup than what people think. Yeah. And then Talladega at Sachs, and then Westbrook Christian and White Plains in a must-win game for White Plains to keep their playoff hopes alive. And so, talking about some of those games, and don't give your pick yet, but Cleveland County and Welborn. Cleveland County has, if they win this game, they hold their playoff lives in their own hands. And so that's a game, but it's going to be tough to go to the Hill and beat a Jeff Smith coach team. You can tell us a little bit about that, Jake.
Yeah, you know, Jeff Smith, he's an old school coach, great coach, but he's another one of those guys that when you meet a Jeff Smith coach team, you're meeting people that are ready to go to work and hit you in the mouth.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yep.
I mean, they bring you lunch pail and get ready for a fight. And especially playing at home at the hill
Yeah.
against that home crowd.
I agree.
It's
And then when it hits you in the mouth, they're going to help you back up and do it again.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, you know, it'll be a well-coached team for sure.
Plus, it's senior night over there too. So
Right.
It's such a great stadium too. It's a
yeah,
great environment
it's really
that the Wells
because you
Paint
know
provide.
back in the day, you know when I played for Sacs, we were 5A, Oxford was 5A, Welburn. And so Welburn still has that big old stadium, and they were 2A or 3A, and they actually fill up the home side almost every game. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so it's really loud in there.
It's one of those communities that when it's football Friday,
Yeah.
the town just
Shuts down.
shuts it down,
Yeah.
and they're at the field and the
Yeah.
stadium. So
I think the only two businesses that are open is like Dollar General and the Dixie Mart.
That's right.
Fort Payne and Cherokee County, we kind of talked about the 6A versus a 4A matchup. Fort Payne could test Cherokee County for the first time this year.
Yeah.
Fort Payne has a very good passing attack. Cherokee County a good running attack. So a contrast of styles.
Yeah.
Any chance that Fort Payne, like they beat Cherokee County last year, so let's don't act like Fort Payne's the underdog. But any chance that they can come in and kind of spoil an undefeated season for the Cherokee County Warriors?
I mean, there's always a chance, but I think Cherokee County will be ready to play because they're going to probably remember what happened last year. So we're not picking right now, are we? Okay.
No, I think you know, the explosive offense for Fort Payne hasn't changed.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back on the winning drive.
Since 2002, Advantage Tire and Alignment has been the place to call when your car won't go. They specialize in new tires, used tires, and wheels. In addition, they also provide alignment services and vehicle repair like brakes, rotors, struts, shocks, and alternators. It is their goal to provide quick, convenient, and friendly service. If you want the advantage, go to Advantage Tire and Alignment, where the customer always has the advantage.
I'm Dudley Miller and my wife Val, and this is the staff at Cremation Services. Together, we have over 100 years experience in funeral service. To me, career longevity is an indication of a person's ability to extend grace and compassion and deal with the family in an honest, trustworthy, and decent manner. We ask that you consider us at Cremation Services of East Alabama in your time of loss.
At Oxford Dental Care, they believe in the importance of a healthy, beautiful smile. The staff takes great pride in the treatments they provide and the healthy smiles that they create. Their patients can take advantage of comprehensive dental care that's customized for their individual needs and desires. They provide general, cosmetic, and pediatric dentistry, emergency dental care, teeth whitening, implants, and veneers. Contact their Oxford office at 256-831-3432 or visit the website at oxforddentalcare.net if you have any questions or would like to schedule an appointment. Friendly staff, excellent service, beautiful smiles. A team you can rely on, Oxford Dental Care.
Hello, I'm John Garlick, and I'm running for probate judge here in Calhoun County, and I'm asking for your vote. From accounting and finance to law enforcement and mental health, my education, training, and experience make me uniquely qualified to be your probate judge. Now, I've sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the great state of Alabama, and I look forward to taking that oath again as your next probate judge. I'm John Garlick, and I'm asking for your vote.
When I was a child, my parents couldn't afford braces. My grandparents paid for them, and it changed my life. It's why I'm an orthodontist today. Hi, I'm Dr. John Phillips, and at PT Orthodontics, we want to make braces and Invisalign easy and affordable for everybody. That's why we offer no down payment and affordable monthly payments to give you the smile you'd like to have. And with offices in Oxford and Gadsden, we're neighborhood orthodontics. Give us a call.
For over 50 years, Oxford City Schools has been building a legacy that we can all be proud of.
academics, athletics, and more. While we are proud of where we've been, we are even more proud of where we are going. Oxford City Schools prepares children from elementary school all the way to the time that they graduate. Our goal is to mold students into future leaders and pioneers of this community and the world.
Welcome back to the Winning Drive presented by Southern States Bank. Guys, we got a lot going on. We got the Oxford Yellow Jackets warming up behind us. We got the loudspeaker. We got a ton going on. But we're going to try to make some picks here. Now, going into our first pick, it's going to be the Childersburg Tigers at the Winterboro Bulldogs. A Class 3A matchup versus a Class 1A. Childersburg, this will be their last game of the year. Winterboro will be trying to fine-tune for their playoff appearance next week and try to get things moving in the right direction before they face off with Decatur Heritage. Coach Skylar Mansfield's done a really good job at Winterboro. You can't, Coach Johnson at Childersburg getting them back in a playoff picture this late in the year. Like we said, they were just eliminated last week, and so the job that he's been able to do at Childersburg. But tonight, it's kind of bragging rights. This is almost a rivalry game for them, right down the road from each other. And so you go past DeSoto Caverns to get to the other one. And so, Buckethead, I'm going to start with you. What do you think this game's going to go like?
I think, like you said, it's a rivalry, but I think Childersburg's going to have a little bit too much for Winterboro tonight. I think Childersburg will come out with a victory.
Dex, what do you think?
Childersburg. I think they got a little bit too much, like he said.
Childersburg.
I'm gonna pick against all y'all, and I'm gonna pull for Skylar Mansfield. And
there's always a loser in the crowd.
Well, I'm gonna go with Winterboro as my pick for this game. I think Winterboro at home pulls it out. They've got some weapons, and we'll see if they're able to pull it out. And so, looking at the next ball game, our next pick 'em for tonight is we're waiting on Tech Guy. The Cleveland County Tigers versus the Welborn Panthers. We talked about this a little bit. A Class 3A versus a Class 4A. Fighting for playoff lives for Cleveland County. Already sealed the #1 team in the region for Walter Welborn. Welborn came out flat a little bit last week in the first half. I think they're going to have to play better this week to beat Cleveland County, and I think Cleveland County is playing for their lives tonight. They don't want to put it in somebody else's hands. And so, Dex, I'm going to start with you on this one. Cleveland County or Walter Welborn?
I'm going with Walter Welborn. I just their offensive defensive line, I mean, they could play up in classification. They can hold their own. So, Walter Welborn.
Jake, what you think?
I got to go with Walter Welborn, too. I mean, it's a home game at the Hill, and it's a Jeff Smith coach team, so Walter Welborn on this.
Welborn protects the Hill.
Welborn protects the Hill, he said. Buckethead, what do you got?
They're not beating Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith don't care if the playoff life's on the line. Jeff Smith's going in. It's at home on the Hill. Cleveland County's not going to Welborn and win the ball game.
Senior night on top of
it. Yeah, senior night.
I think because of some of the things that y'all said, I think senior night adds – all that does is add distractions. Yeah. I think that Cleveland County played one of their better games all year last week at Anniston. I think that Cleveland County goes to the Hill and they upset Welborn to get into the playoffs.
Coach Smith, he's not my son.
Somebody's got to pick. Somebody's got to be different. All right, our next game, Cherokee County and Fort Payne. Like we said, 4A versus 6A matchup. One team throws it around. The other team, you better be able to tackle Jacob Cornejo if you want to stay in the game. Fort Payne won this matchup last year. Buckethead, I'm going to start with you. Do you think it'll be a different outcome this year?
Yes. I mean, Cornejo. Fort Payne will struggle stopping him. I think Cherokee County wins by 2 touchdowns.
I'm going Cherokee County, but not by 2 touchdowns, maybe a score. So
don't step off into that with him. Don't do that.
I'll be the odd man this time. I'm going Fort Payne. I think there's a big difference in 6A ball and 4A ball, and I think depth and size wins out.
Okay.
I look to see Fort Payne take a lead early, but Cherokee County will ground them down. Take over the second half.
All right, so I'm going to go with Jake, and I think Fort Payne wins. only because I think depth is a big thing. I think a 6A school, obviously a bigger school than a 4A school. I think Fort Payne wins this one again. They won last year in a game that a lot of people didn't expect them to win, and so I think Fort Payne beats them again this year.
Yeah.
Let's pick this one last because I want to talk. Well, I'm sorry. I can't do everything. All right, Pell City at Springville. Springville is a team that has kind of been a different ball club this year. Made the playoffs in Class 5A. A lot of people didn't expect that going into the year. We had their game against Etowah, and we kind of saw the triple option offense has paid big-time dividends for them. And so looking at that, does Pell City go get win number 2 on the year? Actually win number 3 on the field, but they had to forfeit the game to Center Point. Or does Springville defend home turf and win and get ready for the playoffs? Dex, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to go with Springville. I think they got a little bit too much for Pell City. Because you know what, Pell City has the gross kid, but Springville's going to have too much.
Okay.
I'm going with Pell City. I mean, it's Rush Probst. He's a proven winner, and I mean, like him, love him, or whatever, I'm going to go Pell City.
I'm going Pell City.
I'm going to go Pell City as well. I think you named the kid that's going to be too much for Springville, and that's going to be the Gross kid. The Gross kid puts the team on his back. He's a senior. He's going to go out a winner, and I expect that to happen, and I think he does anything and everything to win that ball game, just like he tried to do against Oxford Yellow Jackets earlier in the year.
I'm going Pell City tonight. I think he's been in too many close games, and he needs to finish this year. Coach Probst, I'm saying, needs to finish this year off with a win. I think he pulls out all the stops tonight. Pell City gets the win.
You know Coach Probst don't put on a pad, right?
I know that Coach Probst don't, but I know what Coach Probst brings to a program.
Okay, got you. Absolutely. Got you. I wanted to make sure you knew he didn't dress out. Southside.
That changes everything.
Southside at Etowah. So looking at this game, if Southside wins, they're more than likely. If Southside wins, they're going to be the region champion in that region. With Moody and Leeds, and so that would be huge for Southside. Coach Holcomb does a great job there. Coach Bowen, the defensive coordinator, does an outstanding job there. What they've been able to do with Southside program has been unbelievable. Are they able to get the job done in another rivalry game at Etowah? Etowah obviously had a rocky season, lost their coach early in the year, but found a way to make the playoffs in Class 4A. Any chance they pull off the upset tonight against Southside?
No.
No.
That's all I got to say.
No. Southside too. I think Mason Teague is too much. Yeah. I think Titan Rich is going to be all over the field on defense. He's been all over the field all year. But I think that offensive line for Southside and Mason Teague is just too much for Etowah.
Just because I said they weren't going to do great in the playoffs, don't mean they're not going to win tonight. Southside wins tonight.
Yeah.
This next game, and I know what's coming up because I'm looking at it, Sylacauga at Piedmont. I think Sylacauga at Piedmont is going to be a game that is going to be a lot closer than the expert think. Piedmont's came on here lately, but Sylacauga's been playing a lot better than they were at the beginning of the year. Can Sylacauga do enough at the Field of Champions to win tonight in a Class 5A versus Class 3A matchup?
I think they can. I'm going with Sylacauga.
I'm going with Piedmont. I mean,
you've been talking about the difference in classifications the entire time, then you're going to go with Piedmont?
Well, you know, I was also talking about Rush Probst when I thought he was dressing out tonight. So, I mean, I'd like to revisit that. But, you know, Jonathan Miller, he's a proven winner. I mean, he's doing a good job. He's building that culture there at Piedmont. Like you said, they're coming on here late in the year, and you're playing at Piedmont where the town shuts down. And everybody goes to the ball field and watches the 7 o'clock game as the Piedmont Bulldogs roll over Sylacauga. So I'm not saying a big win, I'm saying a close win.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with Jake. You know, Coach Miller needs this win. He needs it. And I know he's put a lot of energy into this week, you know, to end the regular season on a tough kind of first year inside of the community. And I like Coach Miller to protect it.
All right, let's say this. First off, Coach Miller can coach.
Yeah, he can,
it's been
absolutely.
rocky. But anytime a new coach with a different philosophy comes in, it's going to be some growing pains. They had their growing pain. They found a way to get in the playoffs. They're going to still be a tough out for anybody they have to face in the playoffs. And so I like Piedmont as well. I don't know why. But I think, like you said, Piedmont packs out their stadium all the time. It's a different atmosphere. They were the first team around here to have a jumbotron. They have an experience. I think it's a tough place to go play. I don't think Coach Schmelly and Sylacauga, even though they're moving in the right direction, I think that they can get it done.
And speaking on that, Coach Miller is a great coach. That was always going to be a difficult transition when Smith left, and he's a great coach, and Piedmont will be very happy with him.
I think you're exactly right. I think in Alabama, the Crimson Tide fans are going to see the same thing whenever Saban decides to give it up. You don't ever want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy. So anybody that stepped in after Steve Smith was going to have a lot of question marks. He's got tough skin. He's a Larry Ginn disciple as well, and so he can handle that. And so perfect guy for that situation.
And it also helps when you beat the former coach.
No doubt about it. That does help. No doubt.
My pick is Piedmont. It's going to be Millertown tonight, so it's always Millertown in Piedmont. So Piedmont will get it done. Coach Smelly's had a tough year, but just give him some time. It's tough. Some programs are tougher than others to get to beat.
No doubt. All right, looking at the next game, we've only got a couple more games, and I want to get into this matchup. Talladega at Sacs. Does Talladega come in and win? One of these teams has to win. Is it going to be Talladega or Sacs tonight? Can Coach Freeney get the first win in his Sacs era?
I think he can. I'm going with Sacs, my alma mater, so.
I'll go with Sacs.
I like Sacs.
I like Sacs too. Talladega is just riddled with injuries. It's been it's been another tough year for Coach Smith, who has probably the toughest schedule. Non-region Sacs, Alexandria, Lincoln. It's been a tough year for them. And then obviously the region they're in. I think Sacs wins tonight. They played a lot better last week against Welborn. I think they get the job done tonight.
Sacs goes down, gets their first win of the season. Big win for
They ain't got to go down very far. They play at home.
Well, big win for Coach Freeney. Big win for Coach Freeney. Sacs get their first win of the season.
All right, another game, our last game before we get to this game behind us. Westbrook Christian travels. Coach Steve Smith travels to White Plains tonight. With playoff implications. If Cleveland County and Northside don't get it done tonight, White Plains get to the playoffs for the first time since 1994 and only the second time in school history. Dex, what you think?
If the White Plains team show up to play against Cleveland County, I would say White Plains, but I'm going to go with Westbrook Christian on this one.
Yeah, I have to go with Westbrook also, just with the experience of Steve Smith.
I like Westbrook.
Give me the Wildcats. Wildcats tonight at home. I think that Coach Jennings got them moving in the right direction. They got a guy named Dylan Barksdale. They got a guy another guy named P.J. Holloway. I think both of those guys have big nights tonight. They've had some young guys that's really stepped up. Give me White Plains at home. And then what do you think?
I think White Plains will give them a heck of a fight. But I'm going to tell you, with this being Steve Smith's last game of the year, Westbrook Christian's Super Bowls tonight, they're going to win the ball game. I mean, he's not going out with a loss for the end of the year because he's not making the playoffs. This is his last game of the year. Coach Smith's going to come in, and it's the Coach Smith team. So I'm going with Westbrook Christian.
Does the haircut have anything to do with it, though?
The haircut does. I think he lost his mojo when he shaved off the mullet.
It may do it.
Absolutely. Hey, working on getting the Yellow Jackets in here.
Hey, boys. You going to give them?
Yeah.
That was my problem.
Well, we're trying to make them look better, not worse. All right, here we go. You see right here we got the Yellow Jacket mascots tonight. I know they can tell you who's going to win. Who's going to win? The Yellow Jackets say the Yellow Jackets are going to win tonight. For us, we got to pick this game. Look, you got a bunch. Y'all two have called this game. Y'all know a lot more about Oxford than we do. Tell us who's going to win the ball game. And tell me why.
This matchup tonight is going to be phenomenal to watch at home. What Jacksonville brings to the table is a lot of seniors that have played football together for a lot of years and not just coming up through the system, have been starters on varsity. Oxford can really get after the quarterback. They're going to be playing a pocket passer in Jim Ogle, but hey, Jim Ogle's been playing quarterback out here for 4 years now. He's a dad of a college offensive coordinator. His first step was to the mesh point. His first word was Omaha. This kid knows exactly what he's doing. He knows where to go with the ball. Kedrick Fisher is probably one of the better receivers. And
He's very underrated. Yeah.
Oh, very underrated receiver, and speed for him. And Oxford, we saw them struggle with Mario Craver 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The 4-star that's going to be committing to either Alabama or Florida in a few months. And Kedrick Fisher, to me, is a similar type receiver. But Jim Ogle has the arm to get to him, and I think this young Jacksonville offensive line holds up. And I'm taking the Eagles here on senior night.
He's got Jacksonville.
Oh my gosh.
Who you got?
First, I need to put some distance between Warren and I. Where do you want me to start? I mean, you got Mason Mims. I think he has 7 offers. You got Jaden Thomas in the backfield as the big back. And let me tell you something, D.K. Wilson, that kid is phenomenal.
He's very
his
underrated
vision,
too.
his footwork, his speed, I look for big numbers out of him tonight. And then you go to the offense. You got the Smash Brothers with James Tapley. You got Hudson Gilman. They got great closing speed. You got Keenan Britt, another sophomore with a lot of offers. So I take Oxford here. I mean, it's going to be a great test for them, seeing Jim Ogle as a pocket passer, but Oxford Yellow Jackets all the way.
Let me tell you, though, Oxford, we love that front 7 that Oxford's got, but Jacksonville's got a weapon in number 10, Jackson Bonner. 6'4", 200-pound junior. That kid is a target once the Oxford linebackers vacate and try to come after Jim and push him to his left. He's gonna have a big target there with Kedrick running the receiver, the DB's deep, and Bonner being able to fill into those lanes.
And then Sinclair too. You can't discount him. He's like, really, really good. He's not a Craver type kid, but he can get the ball downfield. I got Oxford.
Listen, this is what I'm gonna say up again. He said it earlier. He grew up, for a second word was Omaha. He's going to say Omaha a lot tonight because the defensive front of Oxford is going to make him change it. At the line of scrimmage, he's going to be yelling Omaha, Omaha. But let me just say this. Tonight, sorry, Yellow Jackets, the homestanding Golden Eagles get the victory tonight over the Oxford Yellow Jackets.
Hey, y'all know who I'm going with. Y'all know who I got. I got the Oxford Yellow Jackets. I got the mascots here. All right, I got the Oxford Yellow Jackets. I still bleed black and gold. I know the Golden Eagles wanted me to come here and say Golden Eagles were going to win at Golden Eagle Stadium. It's not going to happen. Mason Mims going to be too much. The offensive weap's going to be too much, and Keenan Britt's going to be too much on that offensive front for Jacksonville. He's unblockable. He's got a motor. He's going to show you why he's one of the top players in his class. I got the Oxford Yellow Jackets tonight. Omaha. All y'all going to be saying at the end of the game, give me the Oxford Yellow Jackets
Omaha.
right here at Golden Eagle Stadium.
That's Latin for help. help.
All right, so guys, we want to thank you for joining us tonight for the winning drive. Like I said, we are right here live at Golden Eagle Stadium. We'll be back live for the coaches show. We're going to try to have these guys back with us this evening if they're still around after the game. For the coaches show, we'll have highlights, we'll have scores. We will have all that tonight coming up, and then tomorrow we will have the Saturday Morning Breakfast Club, our last meeting for the Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. It's been a good year, guys. Y'all been behind the camera a little bit. How did it feel to be in front of the camera tonight?
It was a great environment. So you couldn't be happier to be out here in this great environment, a great game.
Yeah, you turn around and Jacksonville's side is already starting to fill up. Oxford always travels well. They're filling up and still got people rolling in. I made some people mad. Some Jacksonville Golden Eagle fans were mad when they were rolling in, but Oxford people were fired up. And so I think it's going to be a great night. Jake, what about you? How did you like being in front of the camera?
Oh, well, I've always been told that I have a face for radio. So, but, I think it's great. I've enjoyed it. Also, the camera takes away a couple of 100 pounds, so I think that's working for me. But it's been fun tonight.
Well, I'll tell you this. We hadn't gave this award out this year, but you definitely got best dressed.
Well, I appreciate that. I expect a trophy because in today's society, we get trophies for almost anything.
Yeah, we got you. I got you covered. All right, I got you covered. Dex, always enjoy having you.
Appreciate it.
If you don't know about Dex Preps, follow him on Twitter. A guy that does it because he loves the kids, helps kids get recruited. Dex, what's going to happen tonight that's going to surprise us?
Jim Ogle is going to have a career night, I think, but I'm still going Oxford.
He already backstepping. He said Jim Ogle's going to have a career night, but he's still going with Oxford.
Hey, let me say this. The one thing I'll say about Jim Ogle, they only give him 3 stars. Who are these so-called professionals giving 3 stars? I've been calling him 4-star all year, and depending on what he does tonight, I might add 1 to that.
Because you're correct on that. SEC school hit me up today, asked me to get some clips for him because he may get an SEC offer. So you may be right.
Yeah. Hey, you only get that insight here with Dex.
Yep.
Tell him just keep him a 3-star where I ain't got to hear him say he was right all year long.
And Dex, do you see the speaking of some recruits coming up for Jacksonville? Do you see Coach Clint Smith working the 9th grader Ty and Ellis in any at running back tonight? I mean, he could be a real factor in this game.
I mean, he could. It just depends how the game's going. You know, if he feel like they need an extra spark or something, he could put him in a couple plays.
For the playoffs, they're going to need a big back like him.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to advance in that southern region.
Yeah.
It could be a good test.
I've got to call somebody out real quick. Great man, come here. I got my kid with me here tonight. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Come on this side. I need everybody to see you right here in the
Come on, buddy.
All right, so Gray, I don't want to call him out on live television, but I'm going to. Last night we had our picks in the car on the way to town, and Gray told me that Pleasant Valley was going to beat Weaver last night. How'd that work out for you? Who's going to win? Okay, I need to hear who's going to win this game. Jacksonville Golden Eagles or the Oxford Yellow Jackets? Hey, the guy right here picked the Jacksonville Golden Eagles. I don't know if you heard him or not. He's not real loud. Hold on. Yeah, you got to say it. Say it again loud. All right, so he's going against his daddy. All right, we're getting thumbs down behind you from the Yellow Jackets. But the Oxford Yellow Jackets, I've called it here. They're going to come here and beat the Jacksonville Golden Eagles in a track meet, I believe. I think Ogle has a great night. I think Mims has a great night. I think we got a lot of athletes that are going to have it's going to be a fun game to watch. You can catch it live on TV24, any of our platforms, Facebook, YouTube. You can catch it on Roku. Anything you want to check it on, you can catch us on that. This has been the Winning Drive presented by Southern States Bank. We want to thank you for joining us. And when we come back, we will have Dawson and Jackson with the call for the game of the week between the Oxford Yellow Jackets and the Jacksonville Golden Eagles. We want to thank the Yellow Jackets for joining us. We want to thank Jake Pollard, Warren Mullins, and Dex from Dex Preps for joining us. I'm Chandler Tyree. We want to thank you for joining us. We are out.
And when we get it, boys, that's when we go on offense. That's when we go to them. And don't forget we're going to pick on one tackle that's on this week. We're going inside them. We're going outside them. Inside them and outside them. And when we get them on the run once, we're going to... And when we get it, boys, that's when we go on offense. That's when we go to them. And don't forget we're going to pick on one tackle that's on this week. We're going inside them. We're going outside them. Inside them and outside them. And when we get them on the run once, we're going to keep them on the run. And we're not going to pass unless our secondary comes up too close. But don't forget, man, we're going to get them on the run. We're going to go, 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 go. And we aren't going to stop until we go to that goal line. Don't forget, man, today's the day we're going to win. They can't lick us. And from the black out of the goal, the first whistle of the man win there. And fight, 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 fight. What do you say, man? Hey!
My people up in the chandeliers, the wine and dining, the menu is blood, sweat, and tears. Everybody ready, raining down confetti, champions are born right now. Everybody glamour, click goes the hammer, run when you hear that sound.
But Young, he hands it off, and this is a very good handoff from the Sax Wildcats going down the middle of the field. The Sax Wildcats are heading down in the end zone. Touchdown Wildcats.
Line.
Mason Mims going to take the handoff, going to look out there. Which he makes the move, and that is Nick Richardson going in for the touchdown to put the Oxford Yellow Jackets up.
dreams just keep dripping out of their golden cups. I'm starving, leftovers ain't enough. Ain't about the Royals, they do nothing for you. All you got is you right now. Who is gonna falter? Who is gonna conquer? Better never count me out. Heroes never die. Gonna make it to the finish line. We know we survive, even if we crawl to the finish line. All overlated, underdog dreaming, don't need no tears. World's gotta say it. Heroes never die. Gonna make it to the finish line.
Good snap, finally. Get that ball out of there. Another good throw. Good catch. That's going to be a senior in for the touchdown, Lincoln.
Gotta make it to the finish line every day, every day. Gotta make it to the finish line. Gotta make it to the finish line every day, every day. Gotta make it to the finish line. Heroes never die. Gotta make it to the finish line. We know we survive, even if we crawl to the finish line. All overlated, underdog dreaming, don't need no tears. World's gotta say it. Heroes never die.
Here we go. Screws under center. He gives it to Williams. Williams is bouncing it outside. Williams has got some speed. Williams bounces it out. He breaks a tackle. Williams going down the sideline. 10-5 touchdown. Walter Welborn on one play.
Hey everyone, it's Friday Night Football and we've got the Oxford Yellow Jackets up against the Jacksonville Golden Eagles, and this is going to be the coldest football game we have had so far this year. At game time it's going to be 52 degrees and by 10 o'clock it is going to be 44. Now we will have clear skies, but it is going to be cold